Have you ever wondered why you can study English for months, or even years, understand many words, recognize grammar rules, and still feel nervous the moment you have to speak? Maybe you can understand an English video. Maybe you can read an English sentence. Maybe you can even answer a grammar question correctly. But then someone suddenly asks you a simple question in English, and everything changes. Your mind becomes quiet. You know what you want to say, but you cannot find the words quickly enough. You start translating. You start checking your grammar. You start worrying about your pronunciation. You think about whether your answer sounds correct. And while you are thinking, the moment passes. The other person is waiting. You become nervous, and suddenly English feels much harder than it did 5 minutes ago. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know something very important. You are not bad at English. You are not too old to learn English. You do not need a special talent. You do not need a perfect memory. And you do not need to wait until one magical day when you suddenly become fluent. You may simply be missing one habit. One very simple habit. A habit that does not require expensive courses. A habit that does not require 5 hours of studying every day. A habit that you can practice while walking, cooking, getting ready for work, cleaning your room, driving, sitting alone, or even lying in bed before you sleep. And once you understand this habit and use it consistently, you can begin changing the way your brain uses English. The habit is simple. Use English to describe your life. Not tomorrow, not after you become fluent. Today. Describe what you see. Describe what you are doing. Describe what you are thinking. Describe what you need. Describe what you want. Describe what happened. Describe what is happening. Describe what you are planning. And most importantly, do it in English. You do not need complicated sentences. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need advanced vocabulary. You need repetition. You need connection. You need to make English part of your real life. Because many English learners have a strange problem. They know English only inside the study environment. They know English when they open a book. They know English when they sit in a lesson. They know English when they see a vocabulary list. They know English when a teacher asks a question they expected. But real life is unpredictable. Real life does not wait for you to remember the correct tense. Real life does not give you 3 minutes to prepare your answer. Real life does not highlight the important vocabulary. Real life simply happens. Someone asks, "How was your morning?" Someone says, "What are you doing this weekend?" Someone asks, "Why are you late?" Someone says, "What do you think about this?" Someone asks, "Can you help me?" And you need to respond. That is why today's lesson is different. We are not going to spend this entire lesson collecting complicated grammar rules. We are going to train a habit, a speaking habit, a thinking habit, a fluency habit, and I want you to practice with me as we go. So wherever you are right now, make a small decision. For the next part of this lesson, do not just listen. Participate, speak, repeat, think. Pause the video when you need to. Say the sentences aloud. Don't worry about sounding perfect. The purpose of this lesson is not to prove that your English is already good. The purpose is to make your English better. And there is something else I want you to remember. You do not become fluent and then start speaking naturally. You start speaking naturally. And that is what helps you become fluent. This is a very important difference. Many learners are waiting for fluency before they allow themselves to practice. But fluency is the result of practice. Imagine a person who wants to become physically strong. They do not sit on a chair and wait to become strong before exercising. They exercise because they want to become strong. The same principle applies to English. You do not wait to become a speaker before speaking. You speak because you want to become a speaker. So today, we are going to stop waiting. We are going to stop making English something you only study. We are going to make English something you use. And the first step is very small. Look around you, right now, wherever you are. Maybe you are sitting in a bedroom. Maybe you are in an office. Maybe you are sitting on a sofa. Maybe you are watching this on your phone. Look around you. Choose one object. Anything. A table. A chair. A window. A phone. A book. A bottle. Now say its name in English. Good. Now make a sentence. This is a table. That is enough. Do not make it complicated. Now add another sentence. The table is brown. Another one. The table is near me. Another. I use this table every day. Now listen to what just happened. You took an ordinary object from your environment and connected it to English. You did not memorize it from a vocabulary list. You did not study an abstract definition. You connected English to your real life. That is the habit. Now choose another object. Maybe a phone. Say, this is my phone. My phone is on the table. I use my phone every day. I am watching an English lesson on my phone. Again, simple, but powerful. Now choose something that you can see but do not know the English word for. Maybe you know the object in your first language, but not English. This is where many learners make a mistake. They stop. They become frustrated. They think, I don't know this word, so I cannot continue. But you can continue. Describe it. You can say, it is a thing I use when. You can say, it is a small object. You can say, I don't know the English word, but it looks like. This is a powerful speaking skill. Fluent speakers do not know every word in the language. Nobody knows every word. What they know how to do is keep communicating. If they forget a word, they explain it another way. That is what we are going to train. Now let me ask you something. How often do you speak English alone? Maybe your answer is never. Maybe you think speaking alone is strange. But listen carefully. Speaking alone is not strange. It is training. An athlete practices movements before a competition. A musician practices notes before a performance. A speaker practices words before giving a speech. You can practice English before you need English. And the best thing about speaking alone is that nobody interrupts you. Nobody judges you. Nobody finishes your sentence. Nobody tells you that you are wrong. You have time to experiment. You can make mistakes. You can start again. You can practice the same sentence 10 times. You can hear your own voice. You can become comfortable with the sound of English coming out of your mouth. And that last part matters more than many learners realize. Your brain needs to become comfortable producing English. It is one thing to understand a sentence. It is another thing to create it. Understanding is recognition. Speaking is production. And production needs practice. You can recognize a word when you hear it, and still struggle to say it when you need it. You can understand a grammar rule, and still use the wrong tense when you are speaking quickly. You can know hundreds of words, and still feel like you have no vocabulary during a conversation. That is because your knowledge is passive. You need to turn passive knowledge into active ability. And the bridge between those two things is use. So from this moment, I want you to think differently about your English. Do not ask only, how many words do I know? Ask, how many words can I actually use? Do not ask only, how many grammar rules have I studied? Ask, can I use these grammar patterns while talking? Do not ask only, how many English videos have I watched? Ask, how much English have I actually produced? That change in thinking can change your progress. Now let's begin our first speaking exercise. I want you to talk about what is happening right now. You can copy me. Say, I am sitting here. I am watching this lesson. I am learning English. I am practicing speaking. I am improving every day. Now make the sentences personal. I am sitting on. I am watching this on. I am learning English because. I am practicing speaking because. I want to become fluent because. Pause for a moment and answer that last sentence. Why do you want to become fluent in English? Maybe you want a better job. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe you want to communicate with international people. Maybe you want to study abroad. Maybe you simply want to feel proud of yourself. Whatever your reason is, say it aloud. I want to become fluent in English because. Go ahead. Take your time. Now say it one more time. This time, say it without looking at the screen. Excellent. That is speaking practice. And notice something. You did not need a new grammar chapter. You needed a reason to use the English you already know. This is why one simple habit can change your English. When you describe your life in English every day, you stop separating English from reality. English becomes connected to your morning, your breakfast, your work, your family, your plans, your feelings, your decisions, your mistakes. your achievements. And once English becomes connected to real things, your brain has more reasons to remember it. Think about your first language. You probably do not stop and think about grammar before saying, I'm hungry. You do not analyze sentence structure before saying, I'm tired. You do not translate before saying, where are my keys? Why? Because these expressions are connected to your life. You have used them thousands of times. That is exactly what we want for English. We want common English expressions to become connected to your daily experiences. We want your brain to hear a situation and immediately produce the English that belongs to that situation. For example, imagine waking up. Instead of immediately switching into your first language, use English. I'm awake. I'm still tired. I need 5 more minutes. It's early. I should get up. I'm going to wash my face. I need some water. What's the weather like today? I'm going to have breakfast. These sentences are simple, but imagine saying them every morning for a month. Then imagine saying them for a year. They stop feeling like English exercises. They become your natural English thoughts. And that is the goal. Not memorization. Automaticity. Now let's talk about something that stops many learners from using this habit. The fear of mistakes. You may be thinking, but what if my sentence is wrong? Let me ask you something. What happens if your sentence is wrong? You learn. That is all. You say something. You notice the mistake. You correct it. You continue. Your brain gets another chance. Imagine a learner saying, yesterday I go to the market. Maybe the correct sentence is, yesterday I went to the market. The mistake is not a disaster. The learner simply learns that the past form of go is went. Now they say it again. Yesterday I went to the market. Done. The problem is not making mistakes. The problem is being so afraid of mistakes that you stop producing English. Silence teaches you very little. Practice teaches you much more. So give yourself permission to be imperfect. Your goal during speaking practice is not perfection. Your goal is communication, then correction, then repetition, then improvement. This is the process. Now I want you to try something. I will give you a very easy topic. Your morning. Speak for 30 seconds. Talk about what you usually do after waking up. You can say, I usually wake up at, then I, after that, then I, before I leave. Now stop reading. Speak. Take 30 seconds. Don't worry if your sentences are simple. Just keep going. Good. Now I want you to do it again. But this time add details. What do you see? What do you hear? How do you feel? What do you eat? What do you drink? What time do you leave? Try again. Excellent. You just practiced describing your life. And that is exactly what we want to repeat throughout the day. But perhaps you are wondering, how can this one habit improve all parts of my English? It can help with vocabulary, because you repeatedly use practical words. It can help with grammar, because you repeatedly use sentence patterns. It can help with pronunciation, because you repeatedly say words aloud. It can help with confidence, because you become comfortable speaking. It can help with fluency, because you practice producing language without stopping. It can help with listening, because you become more aware of natural sentence patterns when you hear others speak. It can even help with thinking in English, because you are training yourself to connect thoughts directly with English. That is why the habit is so powerful. It touches many skills at the same time. Now let's go deeper. One reason learners struggle to speak is that they have too many disconnected words. They know coffee, they know morning, they know drink, they know kitchen. But speaking requires connections. I drink coffee in the morning. I usually make coffee in the kitchen. I like my coffee hot. I drink coffee before work. Now the words are connected. This is important. You should not only learn individual words. Learn how words behave together. Learn phrases. Learn sentence patterns. Then use them. For example, instead of only memorizing decision, learn make a decision. Instead of only learning interested, learn I'm interested in. Instead of only learning afraid, learn I'm afraid of. Instead of only learning used, learn I'm used to. Then practice them in your own life. I need to make a decision. I'm interested in learning English. I'm afraid of making mistakes. I'm used to practicing every morning. This is how vocabulary becomes useful. Now think about your daily life. What phrases do you need again and again? Maybe, I need to, I want to, I have to, I don't want to, I think, I don't think, I feel, I need help with, I'd like to, I'm looking for, I forgot, I remember, I don't understand, I understand, I agree, I disagree. These expressions are powerful because they can create thousands of sentences. Imagine learning 10 sentence patterns and using each one 20 times. You are not memorizing 200 unrelated sentences. You are learning a system. Now let's practice. Say, I need to complete it. I need to, maybe, I need to study. I need to work. I need to call my friend. I need to buy groceries. I need to practice English. Excellent. Now, I want to improve. I want to travel. I want to speak confidently. I want to understand native speakers. Now, I have to go to work. I have to finish this. I have to wake up early. Now, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to stop learning. Can you feel how easy this becomes when you have a pattern? The pattern gives your brain a starting point. Many learners struggle because they think they must create the entire sentence from nothing. That creates pressure. Instead, start with a familiar structure. Your brain likes patterns, and repeated patterns create speed. Now let's talk about speed. A lot of learners think they need to speak fast to sound fluent. You don't. Fast is not the same as fluent. If you speak quickly but stop every few seconds, restart sentences, translate constantly, and lose clarity, speed does not help. Instead, aim for smoothness. A smooth speaker can speak at a comfortable speed without too many unnecessary stops. And smoothness comes from familiarity. The more familiar you are with a sentence pattern, the less mental energy you need to produce it. For example, if you have practiced, what do you think about 100 times, you don't need to construct it from scratch anymore. It becomes a ready-made piece of language. This is why repetition matters. Do not be afraid to repeat simple sentences. Repeating is not boring when it creates automaticity. Let's practice a short chain. What do you think about this? What do you think about this idea? What do you think about this movie? What do you think about learning English? What do you think about studying every day? Now change the beginning. I think. I don't think. In my opinion. Personally, I think. You are creating variations from a common base. That's how fluency develops. Now let's talk about the morning habit in more detail. I want you to imagine that tomorrow morning, you wake up, and your first goal is not to check social media. Your first goal is to speak English for 5 minutes. You open your eyes. You say, "Good morning. I'm awake. I slept well." Or, "I didn't sleep well. Then, I'm still tired. I need some water. What time is it? Oh, it's 7 o'clock. I need to get up." You look outside. The sky is cloudy. It looks like rain. Or, it's sunny. The weather looks beautiful. Then you stand up. "I'm getting out of bed. I'm going to wash my face. I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm getting ready for the day." Then you enter the kitchen. "I'm hungry. What should I eat? Maybe I'll have some eggs. I need to make coffee. The coffee smells good." This is not an English lesson. This is your morning. And that is exactly why it works. Now imagine doing the same thing at lunch. "I'm hungry. I need something to eat. This food looks good. It's hot. I like this. I don't really like that. I'm full." Again, English becomes attached to your experience. Then imagine doing it while working. "I need to finish this. This is taking too long. Let me check this again. I need a short break. I'll do this first. Then I'll do that. Then in the evening, I'm finally home. I had a busy day. I feel tired. I need to relax. What should I watch? I think I'll read for a while. Then before bed. It's late. I should go to sleep. Tomorrow will be busy. I need to wake up early. Good night." Look at how much English you can practice without sitting down for a formal lesson. This is what I mean by one simple habit. Use English to describe your life. Now I want to introduce a second part of the same habit. Do not only describe what is happening, describe your thoughts. This is where your English becomes deeper. You can say, I think this is interesting. I don't understand why this happened. I hope tomorrow is easier. I'm worried about. I'm excited about. I feel nervous because. I wonder if. I don't know what to choose. I need to think about this. These sentences help you move from basic English to real communication. Because real conversations are not only about objects. They are about thoughts, opinions, feelings, decisions, memories, plans, questions. When you can express those things, you start feeling more like a real English speaker. Now let's practice emotional language. Say, I feel happy because. Complete it. I feel happy because. Maybe because you finished something. Maybe because you learned something. Maybe because the weather is beautiful. Now, I feel tired because. I feel nervous because. I feel excited because. I feel proud because. I feel frustrated because. Again, these are useful because they connect English to your real emotions. And when a word is connected to a strong experience, it often becomes easier to remember. Now let's discuss vocabulary frustration. Maybe you hear native speakers using words you do not understand. You think, my vocabulary is too small. But instead of trying to learn thousands of words at once, focus on words you repeatedly need. Let's say you talk about your job every day. Then learn the words you need for your job. Let's say you talk about your family. Learn family vocabulary. Let's say you travel often. Learn travel vocabulary. Let's say you love cooking. Learn cooking vocabulary. Language becomes easier when it is relevant. You do not need every English word. You need the English words that help you express your life. This is one of the biggest mindset changes you can make. Do not chase all of English. Build the English you need. Then expand. Now let's practice with a topic. Your room. Look around. What do you see? The walls are. There is a. Yarnayo. There are. My desk is. My chair is. The window is. The floor is. There are some books. I keep mine yo. Now describe where things are. The book is on the table. The chair is next to the desk. My phone is near me. The window is behind me. This is simple but useful. Now describe the colors. The wall is white. The chair is black. The book is green. The curtains are. Now add opinions. I like this chair. I don't like that color. This room feels comfortable. I prefer natural light. You are moving from description to opinion. That's progress. Now describe what you want to change. I want to. I would like to. I need to. Maybe I should. This is how a simple speaking exercise becomes a real communication practice. Now imagine doing this with your neighborhood. There's a small store near my house. There are many cars. The street is busy. It's quiet in the morning. People are walking. I often go there. I like this area because, again, the more you connect English with places you actually know, the more useful it becomes. Now let's talk about one of the biggest enemies of fluency, translation. When you translate every sentence, your brain has to do extra work. First, you think in your first language. Then you search for the English equivalent. Then you check grammar. Then you speak. That's slow. We want to reduce the number of steps. How? By creating direct connections. See an object. Think the English word. Have an experience. Use the English phrase. Feel an emotion. Use the English sentence. The goal is direct access. For example, when you feel thirsty, instead of creating the thought in your first language and translating, practice thinking, I'm thirsty. When you see rain, it's raining. When you are hungry, I'm hungry. When you need rest, I need a break. These short automatic thoughts are the building blocks of English thinking. You don't need to force complicated thoughts. Start with what is obvious, then gradually become more detailed. Now let's do a mini English-only challenge. For the next 60 seconds of this lesson, I want you to stay in English. Do not translate. I will give you a situation. Imagine you are in a kitchen. Look around your imaginary kitchen. Say what you see. There is a refrigerator. There is a table. There are some plates. There is a sink. Now say what you are doing. I'm making breakfast. I'm washing a cup. I'm opening the refrigerator. Now say what you want. I want some coffee. I want something healthy. I want to eat. Now say what you think. This kitchen is clean. I like this room. I think breakfast will be good. Excellent. You just spent a full minute thinking and speaking in English. Now let's make the exercise harder. Imagine you are getting ready for work. Tell the story. I wake up early. I take a shower. I get dressed. I have breakfast. I check my phone. I leave home. I take the bus. I arrive at work. I greet my coworkers. I start working. I take a short break. I have lunch. I finish my work. I go home. Now change it into past tense. Yesterday I woke up early. I took a shower. I got dressed. I had breakfast. I checked my phone. I left home. Do you see what we're doing? One situation can teach you multiple grammar patterns. We don't need to separate speaking from grammar. We can learn grammar through speaking. That is a much more practical way to make grammar active. Now let's do future tense. Tomorrow I will wake up early. I will have breakfast. I will go to work. I will finish my tasks. I will come home. And now another common future pattern. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to study. I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to practice English. This is how grammar becomes part of communication. You are not memorizing a table of rules. You are using the forms to talk about real life. Now let's talk about another common problem. Many learners repeat the same easy words. They say good for everything. It's good. It's good. My job is good. The movie is good. The food is good. You can improve your English by learning simple alternatives. Good, great, excellent, amazing, wonderful, useful, helpful, interesting, enjoyable, beautiful, pleasant. Now use them. The movie was amazing. The advice was useful. The lesson was helpful. The garden was beautiful. But remember, do not learn 10 synonyms just to memorize them. Use them in context. Describe your day. The weather was pleasant. The food was delicious. My friend was helpful. Now the vocabulary has a home. That matters. Let's talk about another habit within the habit. Ask yourself questions. This is one of the easiest ways to create a conversation when you are alone. For example, what am I doing right now? Why am I doing this? How do I feel? What do I need? What happened today? What will I do tomorrow? What do I think about this? What do I want to improve? Then answer. This creates a natural speaking loop. Question, answer, question, answer. It feels more like conversation. Let's practice. What did you do this morning? Answer aloud. What are you doing now? Answer. Koing pam kom snonsning. Kopkis kanjuwams. What will you do tonight? Answer. What's one thing you want to improve? Answer. Why are you learning English? Answer. Excellent. Now ask yourself a follow-up question. If you say, I want to travel, ask, where do I want to travel? Then, why do I want to go there? Then, who would I like to go with? Then, what would I do there? Now you're having a conversation with yourself. This is a powerful way to build fluency. Let's go deeper into the idea of self-talk. You don't have to speak every sentence aloud all day. Sometimes you can think in English silently. Sometimes you can whisper. Sometimes you can speak normally. The point is to make English available during everyday life. When you are walking, think in English. When you are waiting, think in English. When you are cooking, speak in English. When you're cleaning, describe what you are doing. When you're commuting, talk about what you see. You have many moments that are usually wasted. Turn some of those moments into English practice. Imagine waiting in line. Instead of scrolling for 10 minutes, think, I'm waiting in line. It's taking a long time. There are 5 people in front of me. I wonder how long it will take. I'm getting a little impatient. This store is busy today. You just turned waiting time into speaking practice. Now imagine walking outside. The weather is warm. There are many trees. The street is quiet. I can hear birds. There's a bus. Someone is riding a bicycle. The clouds look beautiful. This is free practice. You do not need an app. You do not need a teacher. You need awareness. Now let's talk about consistency. Many learners are extremely motivated for 2 days. They practice for 1 hour. They learn 50 words. They watch 5 videos. Then they get busy. Then they stop. Then they feel guilty. Then they start again 2 weeks later. This cycle is exhausting. A better strategy is smaller daily practice. 10 minutes every day can be more valuable than 2 hours once a week, especially when your goal is to build automatic speaking habits. The habit should be so easy that you can continue it even on busy days. Maybe your minimum is 5 minutes. 5 minutes of English self-talk. That's it. On a normal day, you can do 20 or 30 minutes. On a busy day, you can do 5. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is not to break the chain. Consistency creates familiarity. Familiarity creates comfort. Comfort creates fluency. Now I want to talk about something important: boredom. You may think, I'm repeating the same things. That's okay. Language learning needs repetition. But repetition does not have to be exactly the same. You can recycle a topic in different ways. Take your morning. Day 1, describe it. Day 2, describe it in the past. Day 3, describe your ideal morning. Day 4, compare your morning with someone else's. Day 5, describe what you want to change. Day 6, explain why your morning matters. Day 7, tell a story about the worst morning you've ever had. One topic becomes many speaking exercises. Now let's practice storytelling. Tell me about a day when something unexpected happened. Start with yesterday, or last week, then, first, then, after that, suddenly, finally. These connecting words help you organize your speech. For example, yesterday I went to the market. First I bought some fruit. Then I met an old friend. We talked for a few minutes. After that I went home. Suddenly it started raining. Finally I reached home and made some tea. Simple, clear, natural. You don't need advanced English to tell a story. You need structure. Now let's practice another story. Tell me about a time when you were late. Use I was late because. First, then. Unfortunately, luckily, in the end. Speak aloud. Take your time. Good. Now tell a happy story. A few days ago, I was excited because one of the best things was I really enjoyed. I felt. Again, real stories activate real language. Now let's talk about confidence. Confidence is often misunderstood. People think confident speakers feel no fear. That's not true. Confident speakers may still feel nervous. The difference is that they continue speaking. So don't wait until you feel confident. Speak while you are nervous. Confidence often comes after repetition. Imagine speaking to yourself for 10 minutes every day for 90 days. At the beginning, you may feel strange. After a few weeks, you become comfortable. After a few months, producing English feels more normal. You may still make mistakes, but you don't panic. That is real progress. Now imagine the first time you speak English with another person after practicing this way. The conversation may not be perfect. You may still forget words, but your brain has experience. You have already practiced answering questions. You have already described your day. You have already talked about your opinions. You have already spoken about your plans. So when the conversation comes, you have something to draw from. This is what practice is for. Now let's talk about pronunciation. When you practice self-talk, don't rush. You are not training to speak as fast as possible. Focus on clarity. Say, I need to go, not, I need a go. You can later work on connected speech and natural reductions. But first build clarity. Pronounce important words clearly. Record yourself sometimes. Listen. Notice one thing to improve. Maybe your th sound is unclear. Maybe you speak too quietly. Maybe your endings disappear. Maybe you pause too often. Choose one issue. Work on it. Do not try to fix everything at once. One improvement at a time. Now let's talk about recording. You can record 1 minute of English on your phone. Topic: my day. Then listen. Do not judge yourself harshly. Instead ask, did I stop often? Which words were difficult? Did I speak clearly? Did I repeat the same word too much? What could I say more naturally? Then record again. 1 recording is practice. 2 recordings are comparison. That comparison helps you notice things you cannot notice while speaking. Now let's practice a recorded speaking task. Imagine your phone is recording. Say, my name is, I live in. I am learning English because. One thing I find difficult is. One thing I am improving is. My goal is. I believe I can. Now continue for 1 minute. Do not stop. Go. Excellent. That 1 minute is more valuable than simply reading 10 English sentences silently. Now let's talk about silence. Sometimes your speaking may include pauses. That is normal. Do not fill every pause with or repeated words. Instead, use useful thinking phrases. Let me think. Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure, but I think, in my opinion, actually, well, these expressions give you time while sounding natural. Practice them. Let me think. I'm not sure, but actually, in my opinion. Now imagine someone asks, what do you think about learning English? You can say, well, I think learning English takes time, but you have started speaking while your brain prepares the next idea. This is much better than freezing. Now let's practice unexpected questions. What is your favorite food? Answer. Why do you like it? Answer. When did you last eat it? Answer. Would you recommend it to a friend? Answer. Can you describe the taste? Answer. This is conversation training. You are teaching your brain to respond rather than prepare. That is a major step toward fluency. Now let's make it more difficult. Question. What would you do if you had a free month? Answer. Then, where would you go? Who would you take? What would you do every day? What would you learn? What would you avoid? This moves your English into imagination. That is important because real conversations include hypothetical situations too. Now another topic. Your dream life. What would your ideal day look like? I would wake up, I would have, I would spend, I would work, I would travel, I would spend time with. This is a great way to practice conditional language without turning it into a grammar lecture. Now let's talk about common speaking mistakes. One common mistake is trying to create overly complicated sentences. Learners sometimes think advanced English means long English. It doesn't. Clear English is often simple. Instead of, due to the fact that I was experiencing an exceptional level of tiredness, you can simply say, I was very tired. That is natural. Do not make your English complicated just to sound intelligent. Your goal is communication. Another common mistake is using words you do not fully understand. Use language you can control. Learn new words, yes, but practice them until they become familiar. Now let's discuss another powerful concept. Sentence expansion. Start with one simple sentence. I work. Expand it. I work every day. I work every day in an office. I work every day in an office near my home. I work every day in an office near my home. And I usually finish at 5. Now add a reason. I work every day in an office near my home, and I usually finish at 5 because, continue. This is an excellent fluency exercise. You start simple, then add information. This gives your brain a controlled challenge. Let's practice. Start with, I live, expand it. I live in, I live in, I live in a, now, I live in a city. Then, I live in a city where, continue. You are learning to keep a sentence alive. Now do the same with, I like, I usually, I want, I often, I don't like, I remember, I hope. These are great starting points. Now let's talk about questions again. If you want better conversation skills, you need to become comfortable asking questions. Useful questions include, what do you mean? Can you explain that? Could you repeat that? How long have you been? What kind of? What do you usually? What would you? Why do you think? Have you ever? Learn these patterns. Then use them. Imagine meeting someone new. Where are you from? What do you do? How long have you lived there? What do you like about your city? What do you usually do on weekends? What are you learning these days? You have already created a conversation. Now let's talk about listening. Self-talk is powerful, but it should be combined with good listening. When you listen to English, pay attention to phrases you hear repeatedly. Maybe a speaker says, let me know. I guess, to be honest. By the way, that's why, at the same time, actually, it's up to you. These days, these are useful because native speakers use them to connect ideas. Don't only collect nouns. Collect the language that moves conversation forward. Then use it in your own self-talk. For example, by the way, I need to call my friend. To be honest, I don't really like that idea. That's why I'm practicing every day. At the same time, I know I need patience. This makes your speech more natural. Now let's talk about the habit in different situations. While shopping, I need to buy. This is too expensive. This one looks better. I think I'll take this. Do I really need this? I should compare the prices. While traveling, where is the station? What time does the train leave? I need a ticket. Where should I go? Is this the right platform? At work, I'll finish this first. Can you send me the file? I'll check it. I need more time. Let's talk about it later. At home, I need to clean this room. Where did I put my keys? I'll do this tomorrow. I should organize my desk. The point is not to memorize every sentence. The point is to practice the language that belongs to real situations. Now imagine using this habit for 30 days. Day 1, you may speak for 5 minutes. Day 5, you may speak for 10. Day 10, you may notice that words come faster. Day 15, you may start thinking in English while doing simple activities. Day 20, you may answer questions more easily. Day 30, you may realize that speaking no longer feels as strange as before. The change may be gradual. You may not notice it every day, but your brain is adapting. Now imagine 90 days. You have spoken English hundreds of times. You have described hundreds of situations. You have repeated common sentence patterns. You have corrected mistakes. You have listened. You have recorded yourself. You have practiced questions. You have told stories. You have expressed opinions. You have talked about emotions. You have practiced future plans and past experiences. At some point, English stops feeling like a school subject. It starts becoming a skill you actually use. That is the goal. Now let's create a practical daily routine. Morning, 5 minutes. Describe your morning. Afternoon, 5 minutes. Describe what you are doing. Evening, 5 minutes. Talk about your day. Before sleep, 5 minutes. Talk about tomorrow. That's 20 minutes. If you have more time, add listening. But even on busy days, protect those 20 minutes. And if 20 minutes feels impossible, start with 5. 5 minutes is better than 0. Now let's create a weekly rotation. Monday, daily routine. Tuesday, family. Wednesday, work or study. Thursday, hobbies. Friday, travel and future plans. Saturday, storytelling. Sunday, opinions and reflection. This keeps the practice varied. Now let's do a full speaking session together. Imagine today is Monday. Tell me about your day. Start with today. Then, this morning. This afternoon. This evening. Right now. Tomorrow. Speak for 2 minutes. Excellent. Now Tuesday. Talk about your family. Let me tell you about my family. Describe who they are. What they do. What you enjoy doing together. What you have learned from them. Speak naturally. Wednesday. Talk about work or study. What do I do? What do I like? What is difficult? What do I want to improve? What are my goals? Speak. Thursday. Talk about hobbies. What do I do for fun? When do I do it? Why do I enjoy it? Who do I do it with? Speak. Friday. Talk about travel. Where would I like to go? Why? What would I do? What would I eat? What would I see? Speak. Saturday. Tell a story. Talk about something funny, surprising, difficult, or memorable. Remember, first, then, after that, suddenly, finally, speak. Sunday. Reflect. What did I learn this week? What was difficult? What improved? What will I practice next week? This final reflection is powerful because you use English to think about English. Now let's talk about mistakes more deeply. Some mistakes are repeated because we do not notice them. That is why occasional correction matters. Maybe you say, he go to work every day. You should practice. He goes to work every day. Maybe you say, I am agree. You should practice. I agree. Maybe you say, I have 25 years. For age, natural English is I am 25 years old. Or simply, I am 25. Maybe you say, I have seen him yesterday. A more natural sentence is, I saw him yesterday. The goal is not to feel embarrassed. The goal is to notice patterns. Keep a small list of your personal mistakes. Not 50 mistakes, maybe 5. Then practice those 5 repeatedly. Your own errors can become your best lessons. Now let's talk about grammar confidence. Some learners stop speaking because they are trying to remember every grammar rule. But you do not need to think about every rule while speaking. Imagine driving a car. At first, you think about every movement. Later, many actions become automatic. Language works similarly. Practice creates automatic patterns. The more you use I went, the less you need to think about the past of go. The more you use I have been, the more familiar that pattern becomes. Your goal is not to mentally explain grammar while speaking. Your goal is to use correct patterns more naturally, through repetition. Now let's practice some high-value patterns. I used to complete it. I used to. Maybe, I used to play football. I used to live there. I used to wake up late. Now, I've been. I've been learning English for. I've been working here for. Now, I've never. I've never been to. I've never tried. Now, if I had more time, I would. If I had more money, I would. Again, you are using grammar through communication. This is more memorable than simply reading rules. Now let's discuss the role of reading. Reading can support this habit. When you read a short paragraph, don't only understand it. Steal useful sentence structures. For example, the weather was beautiful, so we decided to. You can adapt it. The weather was terrible, so we decided to. My friend was busy, so I decided to. You are using one sentence pattern to create multiple original sentences. This is efficient. Now the same idea with listening. Here, I don't feel like going out today. Then make your own examples. I don't feel like cooking. I don't feel like working. I don't feel like talking. This is how natural phrases become yours. Now let's talk about shadowing for a moment. Choose a short clip. Listen to one sentence. Repeat. Then say it again without the audio. Use the rhythm. Copy the pauses. This supports your self-talk habit because you are bringing natural English patterns into your own speech. But remember, do not copy everything blindly. Understand the phrase, then use it. Now let's talk about pronunciation confidence. You may have an accent. That's okay. An accent is not a failure. Your goal should be clarity. If people can understand you, communication is working. You can always improve pronunciation. But do not let accent anxiety stop you from speaking. Speak clearly. Speak confidently. Speak consistently. Now imagine someone says, "Your English isn't perfect." You can smile. "That's okay. I'm learning." That sentence itself is confidence. You do not need permission to learn. Now let's talk about motivation. Some days you will feel excited. Some days you will not. Do not build your English practice entirely around motivation. Build a routine. Maybe you brush your teeth every morning without asking yourself whether you feel motivated. You do it because it is part of your routine. Make English similar. After breakfast, 5 minutes of English. During your walk, 5 minutes. Before bed, 5 minutes. The habit becomes easier because it is attached to something you already do. This is called habit stacking, and it is powerful. For example, after I make coffee, I speak English for 5 minutes. After I sit in my car, I think in English for 5 minutes. After dinner, I tell myself the story of my day in English. Before sleeping, I describe tomorrow in English. The existing habit reminds you about the new habit. Now let's create a habit stack for you. Choose one daily activity. Coffee, breakfast, walking, showering, driving, cleaning, whatever. Now connect English to it. Every time you do that activity, English begins. This makes practice much easier to remember. Now let's talk about environment. You can make English visible around you. Put small English notes on objects. Mirror, door, window, desk, chair, bottle. Then use them in sentences. But don't fill the entire room with labels. The goal is not decoration. The goal is active use. See the word. Speak a sentence. Now let's practice with a mini environment challenge. Choose 5 objects around you. Object 1. Describe it. Object 2. Describe it. Object 3. Describe it. Object 4. Describe it. Object 5. Describe it. Then connect them. The chair is next to the table. The book is on the table. My phone is beside the book. The window is behind the desk. Now you are practicing prepositions naturally. Again, grammar through real life. Now let's talk about one of the most valuable skills, paraphrasing. You forget a word. Don't stop. For example, you forget kettle. Say, the thing I use to boil water. You forget balcony. Say, the space outside the room where people can stand. You forget receipt. Say, the paper they give you after you pay. This ability makes you much harder to stop. Fluent communication is not about knowing everything. It is about knowing how to keep going. So from today, every time you forget a word, practice describing it. Do not immediately switch to your first language. Give yourself a chance. This trains mental flexibility. Now let's practice. Imagine you forgot the word umbrella. Describe it. The thing I carry when it rains. Good. Now refrigerator. The machine in the kitchen where I keep cold food. Now pillow. The soft thing I use when I sleep. Excellent. This is real speaking power. Now let's talk about conversation fillers. Sometimes you need a second to think. Use natural phrases. Let me see. That's a good question. I'm trying to think. Well, actually, personally, as far as I know, I'm not completely sure, but practice them now. That's a good question. Let me think. I'm not completely sure, but these phrases can help you keep the conversation alive. Now let's practice a mock conversation. I ask, what do you do? You answer. Then I ask, why do you like it? Answer. What is difficult about it? Answer. What would you like to improve? Answer. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Answer. You are now practicing a real conversation structure. Now let's make it personal. I want you to imagine meeting someone new. You say, hi, nice to meet you. Then, where are you from? Then, what do you do? Then, what do you like to do in your free time? Then, have you traveled anywhere interesting? Then, what are you working on these days? Then, what are your goals? This is how you can prepare yourself for real situations without memorizing one specific conversation. Now let's talk about social fear. Sometimes learners are not afraid of English. They are afraid of being judged. They think, what if I sound stupid? What if they hear my accent? What if I make a grammar mistake? But think about your purpose. You're there to communicate, not to perform. Most people are not analyzing every sentence you say. They are listening for the meaning. So focus on the message. Ask yourself, what do I want this person to understand? That is a better question than, how can I make every sentence perfect? Meaning first. Accuracy improves through practice. Now let's return to our central habit. One simple habit. Describe your life in English. Why is it so powerful? Because it is available everywhere. Because it is personal. Because it is repetitive. Because it combines vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, confidence, and thinking. Because it turns passive knowledge into active use. Because it can be done without another person. Because it can be done for 5 minutes or 50 minutes. Because it fits your actual life. That is why I want you to take this seriously. You don't need to wait for a perfect course. You don't need to wait for a perfect teacher. You don't need to wait for fluency. Use the English you have, then build more. Now let's practice a full 5-minute self-talk session. Imagine you just woke up. Talk. Good morning. I'm awake. I'm still a little tired. I need some water. It's, the weather looks, I have to. Today, I want to. This morning, I am going to. I hope, speak naturally. Now imagine you are having breakfast. I am eating. It tastes. I usually eat. I don't usually. Today, I feel. Now imagine you are getting ready. I need to. I should. Where are my? I forgot. Okay, now I'm ready. Now imagine leaving home. I'm going outside. The weather is. There are. I can see. I can hear. Now you're at work. I need to. First I'll. After that I'll. This task is. I need help with. I think, and now you're coming home. Today was, I feel, I'm going to, at night. Today I learned, I was happy when, I was frustrated when, tomorrow I want to, I hope, now I need to sleep. That is a complete English day, and you can practice it every day. Now let's talk about making progress measurable. You can track speaking minutes. Day 1, 5 minutes. Day 2, 7 minutes. Day 3, 10 minutes. Do not obsess over perfection. Track consistency. You can also record one short video every Sunday. Same topic, 1 minute. Talk about your week. After 1 month, compare the recordings. You may hear differences. Maybe fewer pauses, better pronunciation, more vocabulary, longer answers, more confidence. That proof can motivate you. Now let's discuss what to do when you feel stuck. If you cannot think of a topic, use 5 categories. What I see, what I am doing, what I think, what I feel, what I will do. You can speak for hours using these categories. For example, I see a window. I am sitting near the window. I think the room is comfortable. I feel calm. I will study after this. 5 categories. Infinite practice. Now let's add another 5. What happened? What is happening? What might happen? What I want? What I would change? Again, you can build endless speaking practice. Now let's practice a longer answer. Topic: my ideal weekend. Start: my ideal weekend would be. Then explain: when I wake up, after breakfast, in the afternoon, in the evening, I would like to, I would spend time, I would avoid. By Sunday night, speak. This exercise combines description, imagination, future language, preferences, and sequencing. Excellent. Now let's talk about using English when you make decisions. This is another amazing opportunity. Ask yourself, should I? What should I? Which one should I choose? Why should I choose it? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? For example, buying a phone. I want to buy a new phone. Do I really need one? This model is cheaper. That model has a better camera. I think I should compare the prices. This is natural internal English. You are training your brain to think, not just repeat. Now let's talk about describing problems. This is extremely useful. My computer isn't working. My internet is slow. I can't find my keys. I forgot my password. I need to fix this. I don't know what happened. Maybe I should restart it. Problems create real language. So don't avoid difficult situations. Use them as practice. Now let's talk about describing solutions. I could, I should, maybe I can, I'll try, I'll ask, I'll look for. This builds useful everyday English. Now let's practice an imaginary problem. Your phone battery is low. Describe it. My phone battery is almost dead. I need to charge it. Where is my charger? I think I left it. I need to find it. Maybe I should carry a power bank. See how much language comes from one simple problem. Now let's talk about humor. You don't need to speak only serious English. You can tell jokes, make comments, react to situations. That was funny. I can't believe that happened. That was unexpected. I didn't expect that. This is ridiculous. That's hilarious. Natural communication has emotion. Use it. Now let's talk about disagreement. Real conversations include different opinions. Practice. I don't agree. I see your point, but I understand what you mean. However, personally I think maybe we can look at it differently. These phrases make your English more flexible and natural. Now let's talk about agreement. Exactly. I agree. I completely agree. That's true. You're right. I feel the same way. Practice them. Again, small phrases create conversational power. Now let's talk about listening and responding. When someone speaks to you, don't immediately think about your entire answer. First, react. Really? That's interesting. Oh, I see. Exactly. No way. That sounds great. Then continue. These small reactions make conversations feel more natural. Practice them during your self-talk too. Imagine someone tells you, I visited Turkey last year. You respond, really? That's interesting. What was it like? Now you are practicing conversational rhythm. Now let's discuss one final major problem: quitting too soon. Many learners practice for a week and think nothing is happening. But language learning is often invisible before it becomes obvious. You may not feel different tomorrow. That's okay. Keep going. The brain is building connections. The mouth is getting used to the sounds. Your memory is strengthening. Your response time is improving. Do not judge progress every day. Look at progress over months. Think about where you were 6 months ago. Can you understand more? Can you speak more? Can you recognize more phrases? Can you answer faster? Maybe the improvement is already there. Now imagine what another 6 months could do. You don't need a miracle. You need consistency. Now I want to give you a very simple challenge. For the next 30 days, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes during the day, 5 minutes in the evening, 15 minutes total. During those 15 minutes, speak English about your actual life. No memorized script, no translation, no perfection, just English. On day 1, your English may feel slow. On day 10, you may feel more comfortable. On day 20, you may notice faster responses. On day 30, you may realize you are producing English with less effort. Will you become perfectly fluent in 30 days? Maybe not, but you can absolutely become a stronger, more comfortable speaker. And that is what matters. Now let's make the challenge more powerful. Every week, increase the difficulty. Week 1, describe. Week 2, explain. Week 3, tell stories. Week 4, discuss opinions. This creates progression. You start with objects, then situations, then ideas, then deeper communication. Now let's do our final long practice section. I will give you a topic. Speak for 2 minutes. Topic: my life right now. Talk about where you live, what you do, what your days are like, what you enjoy, what is difficult, what you want, what you are learning, what you hope to achieve. Take your time. Start now. Good. Now the second topic: the life I want in the future. Talk about where you want to live, what you want to do, who you want around you, what kind of work you want, what skills you want, what kind of person you want to become. Speak. Excellent. Third topic: what I have learned from my mistakes. This topic is more difficult. Talk about one mistake. What happened? Why did it happen? How did you feel? What did you learn? What would you do differently now? Speak. Very good. That kind of speaking is where your English starts becoming more personal and more advanced. Now let's return to the title of this lesson. One simple habit that can change your English. What is the habit? Use English to describe your life. Every day, think in English. Speak in English. Ask yourself questions. Answer them. Describe your environment. Talk about your plans. Talk about your feelings. Tell stories. Explain problems. Give opinions. Use the English you know, then add new English to it. This habit is simple enough to start today, and powerful enough to change the way you approach language learning. Before we finish, I want you to hear one final message. Do not be ashamed of your current English. It is a stage. Do not compare your beginning to someone else's middle. It is not fair to yourself. Do not wait for perfect grammar. Use the grammar you have. Do not wait for perfect vocabulary. Use the words you know. Do not wait for confidence. Practice until confidence grows. Do not wait for fluency. Speak today. Because every time you speak English, you are teaching your brain that English is not only something you understand, it is something you can use. Every time you describe your morning, you are training. Every time you talk about your work, you are training. Every time you explain your opinion, you are training. Every time you make a mistake and keep going, you are training. Every time you forget a word and describe it another way, you are training. Every time you answer a question without translating, you are training. Every day, you are building something. And one day, you will notice that what once required effort now happens naturally. You will answer more quickly. You will think in English more often. You will understand more expressions. You will speak with less fear. You will stop worrying about every mistake. You will begin focusing more on the message than the grammar. That is growth. That is fluency developing. So tomorrow morning, remember this lesson. Before you check your phone, before you open social media, before you start your day, say something in English. Good morning. I am awake. Today I am going to, and keep going. 5 minutes, then again later. 5 minutes, then again in the evening. 5 minutes, 15 minutes. Every day. If you miss one day, start again the next day. If you make a mistake, correct it and continue. If you forget a word, describe it. If you feel nervous, speak anyway. If your English feels slow, keep practicing. If you think you are not improving, look back at how far you have come. And never forget that the goal is not to sound perfect. The goal is to communicate. The goal is to connect. The goal is to express yourself. The goal is to make English useful in your real life. You already know more English than you think. Now you need to use it. And that starts with one simple habit. Describe your life in English. Every single day. Let's do one final exercise together. Say these sentences aloud. I am learning. I am improving. I can speak English. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to know every word. I can explain my ideas. I can keep a conversation going. I can learn from mistakes. I can think in English. I can practice every day. I will not wait for fluency. I will start speaking today. Again, I will not wait for fluency. I will start speaking today. And one final time. I will start speaking today. Excellent. That is your new mindset. Not someday. Today, not perfect. Progress, not silence. Speaking, not endless preparation. Practice. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep using English in your real life. Keep speaking. Keep thinking. Keep practicing. And most importantly, keep going. Your English can change. Your confidence can change. Your speaking can change. But the change begins when you stop waiting and start using the English you already have. Start with one sentence, then another, and one day those simple sentences will become conversations. Those conversations will become confidence, and that confidence will become fluency. See you in the next lesson.